Today's subject is the 3 unusual things you must do with your life. And this is really inspired by the idea of bucket lists. It's a popular concept of there are certain things you want to tick off before you die, basically. And usually they typically involve traveling or doing stuff like skydiving or high-risk things. And basically, I wanted to come up with a list of things as well, but I didn't want to come up with the ordinary list, which so many people would typically go through. So I came up with 3 unusual things to do with before you die or with your life. And I'm going to discuss these today, break them down and explain why they're important. If you've got any questions along the way, then by all means ask them. I should be able to see them on the screen and give you a response. Or if you want to make a comment at the end, I'll read that out as well, see what people are saying. I've got a few online already. Catherine, Dorothy, Leslie. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. So I get straight in with my list of 3 unusual things you must do with your life in the years you've got to live it. So we're going to start with number 1, and that is achieve the impossible. So I'm suggesting that at some stage in your life, you must achieve the impossible. Hey, Catherine. And what that means, that can be done in 2 ways. Number 1 is achieve something you believe is impossible. And number 2 is achieve something that society tells you is impossible. Now, the great thing about doing this is whether it's something for yourself or something society tells you, is you discover that these limits we get told about, both from society and the limits we impose on ourselves, aren't actually real. But that can only be you can only have that insight once you actually do something you didn't believe you can do. So on a personal level, this may mean facing up to a challenge which you've always found difficult. For example, perhaps running a marathon. You always thought, there's no way. I've heard about other people doing it, but there's no way I could actually do it. Or perhaps it's losing a certain amount of weight. Perhaps you've been stuck at, let's say, you stuck at 15 stone. 15 stone, that's about, for American viewers, that's about 210 pounds, I think, for like 10, 20 years of your life. And you just think that that's the weight you are. You can't possibly go any lighter. Well, therefore, it would seem impossible to you that you could get down to 12 stone or 10 stone. So this is what I'm talking about when it comes to achieving the impossible. It's setting out on a mission to do something that you have real doubts about your ability to do. And so what I'm suggesting is that if you can do that, which of course you can achieve these things that your mind perhaps tells you you can't, or society tells you can't. If you can do that, it becomes very addictive, very thought-provoking as well, because you start to think to yourself, hey, all of these limits I've been told to believe in, are they actually real? Or is it just stuff I'm taught, which is there to possibly control me? Or which I'm imposing limits upon myself by believing in. So that's one thing you should set out to do, and that is achieve the impossible. And I mentioned achieving the impossible in regards to what society tells you is impossible. So, for example, I was always told that you can't make any money by selling books. This was before I put pen to paper and started to create my book. The message I got from society and the people around me was there's no money in selling books. So I just accepted that originally anyway, and thought, what am I going to do? My dreams are squashed now. I want to be a best-selling author, but everybody tells me it's not possible. Well, I decided I had to do it because I felt like it was the right thing to do, irrespective of whether I could make a living doing it or not. But hey, guess what? In following that desire, I have discovered that it is possible to make money selling books. So and I've prove to myself that this thing that society tells me is impossible is not actually the case. So anyway, let's move on to the second thing. The second thing on our bucket list of unusual things to do in your life is win financial freedom. Now, this is a really important one because I feel so many people in the world live in a state of economic servitude. There's little, or there's less actual slavery, real slavery in the world than there was, say, centuries ago, but it would not be inaccurate to say many of the people in the world are living in this state of economic servitude. So what I mean by that is they have to be somewhere they don't want to be because of the need to make money. And most of us end up working a 9-to-5, spending 40, 50, 60 hours a week, working a job that they don't enjoy because of this necessity to make money. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about economic servitude. And therefore, it would be very important, seeing as if you are working 40, 50, 60 hours a week for 40 years of your life, 30, maybe 50 years of your life, that means you're going to spend a lot of time being somewhere you don't want to be, doing things you don't want to do. It's not a great way to live, especially when you consider that certainly my belief is that inside every one of us, we have a gift, or Thoreau describes it as a song, something we need to give to the world, something that we need to express, an expression of ourselves, our talents, our creations. And there's a much more meaningful and joyful life for us to live than being stuck, being somewhere we don't want to be for, let's face it, the majority of our adult life. Therefore, winning your financial freedom, freeing yourself from economic servitude, is something that every individual should be looking to do. There are two paths to doing this. One is the more known path, which is making yourself fantastically wealthy so you never have to work a day in your life. Not always easy to achieve, but nonetheless, some people do it. The other path is working or making your decisions based on what inspires you. So that means working a job because you enjoy doing it rather than the amount of money it pays. If you can do that and still cover your basic costs and make a living, then you are financially free, irrespective of whether somebody in an employed job may earn twice as much money as you do. But if you spend every one of your days stimulated, and it doesn't always have to be overjoyed. You know, I think people make that mistake with doing the work they love, that you're going to be totally excited every single day. I'm not totally excited every single day with what I do, but I am stimulated every single day. I'm never bored. I'm always interested in what I'm doing. So if you can find a job which does that, then you can win your financial freedom, irrespective of how much money it pays you. So look for those two paths to fulfill the second one on our list. Right, finally, the last one on the list, and perhaps the most important, is you have to master your mind. Now, obviously, this is not a conventional list. This is not something we get taught in school. And when I refer to mastering your mind, I'm talking about being able to control your thoughts, being able to focus your mind, and therefore have an impact on your emotional state. A lot of people will say that they are not in control of their lives, that forces outside of them are the economy, the nature of the financial system, the nature of work, things like that, perhaps even the weather, people around them, their parents control them, or perhaps a partner controls them. There are so many factors outside of yourself that you can look at and blame and say, well, that controlled my life. That unfortunate event that happened to me has controlled and determined my life. When I don't believe that's the case, I actually believe that we all are in control of our lives, and we have the majority control. We as individuals are able to exert the most influence on the direction of our lives. And how do we do that? We do that through being able to master our mind. Our mind is our most important tool for both our freedom and happiness. So therefore, during your lifetime, or as early as possible, as early as you become aware of the power of your mind, you have to start to try to master and harness this power. So what I'm suggesting here is basically controlling your thoughts. I find it's easier to control thoughts than it is emotions. I find that emotions occur as a result of your thinking. So therefore, what you should set out to do is to control your thoughts. Try to make sure they're not wandering too much. Try to make sure there's not too much mental noise going on in your head. Try to make sure there aren't too many fears going around in your mind, too much anxiety. And really, it's a case of discipline and awareness. This is how you really master your mind. Being aware of the kind of thoughts that are going through your mind and making sure that you don't dwell on anything that is that would lead you to a state of fear. And it's a constant mission. It's a daily battle, really. I would say I've been doing this for 15 years, and I would still describe it as a battle, because there are moments when my mind runs wild, it goes off on a tangent, and I'm not in control. And that's with 15 years of having practiced this. I'd still say I'm achieved a good enough level of mastery to be able to move myself in the direction I want and to be able to be calm and happy each day. But I still have these moments of distraction. So it's just a case, as I said, a case of discipline and awareness. And being able to master your mind, I'm just going to go through a very quick list, means these things. It means developing an ability to focus. It means having a control over your emotional state. It means being able to raise your energy. This is a really important one. The more skilled you get at mastering your thoughts, the better you will be able to be to influence your emotions. I don't believe we can have perfect control over our emotions. There are still things that are going to happen in our life that will shock us, that we'll have bad reaction to and happy reactions to. But on a longer term scale, in terms of not being controlled by your emotions, the key to doing that is mastering your mind. I've talked not living in a state of anxiety, not letting fear make your decisions, and not having a distracted mind. So I've covered all of those things. And those are the 3 points in summary, the 3 unusual things you must do with your life. 1, achieve the impossible. 2, master your mind. And 3, win your financial freedom. Do all of those 3 things, or make it your life's mission to do all of those 3 things. And I'm pretty a happy, fulfilled, probably a wealthy and love-filled life as well.